Right, hey folks, it is Friday. We're doing some game design today at lunch. Give me a second here to check my signal to make sure that we're coming through clearly. I'll do my social media posts real quick, and then we're going to start designing athletes for Strixhaven Mage Tower, 7th level characters, to win the game. So hold on real quick. Let's see if this is going to show up. Hey, there we are. And checking my volume here. See if this is going to show up. Hey, there we are. Checking my check. That sounds pretty good. See if this is going to... Cool. So let's get that out of the way. Let's grab the link here so we can do the social posting. 1 second here. If you're catching this after the live stream, you are most welcome to skip ahead like a minute, and I'll be done with doing my updates. But those that are trapped here in space-time with me here now, my name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. We're making stuff for Strixhaven for Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition using the 2024 mechanics. Strixhaven is one of the Magic the Gathering settings that they imported into D&D since releasing 5th edition. But one of the they've got Strixhaven. Before that they had Theros. And before that they had Ravnica back in 2016. I started creating content on the DMsGuild on 2018 after they released Ravnica because they didn't create any kind of color magic language inside of Ravnica, and that was what was exciting me and I think a lot of other people the most about Wizards blending MTG into D&D was that we would be able to make use of the color magic paradigm and the mana system in the 5e game engine. But the philosophy of Wizards in 5th edition was to take whatever ideas and then bring them into what the 5e game engine already is, which is Vancian magic with the 8 schools and spell slots. Instead of reinventing the magic system for the 5 color magic paradigm and color mana to fuel your magic and your character's abilities, they just went with the 5e game engine that already existed, which was a big disappointment because in 3rd edition they did a lot to, when they would create a new type of character or a new type of magic, they would create all these new variant mechanics like magic items and feats and monsters and spells and whole classes and prestige classes on top of it. A whole bunch. It's just like the entire milieu of things that you would need to incorporate a new magic system into your game. They would provide it in just basically in one book, like the Book of Incarnum, Book of Legacy Weapons. The Savage Species book is another example of like redefining how the game operates. Just the Tome of Magic itself. Yeah, there was a lot of different books that would create these new, the Book of Nine Swords, all these different magic systems and character options that would just completely change how you could build characters. And it was exciting because it was new tools and new things to swap out pieces in your engine to change how your game operates or how to build your characters differently. But that also is very fragmenting, and there'd be a lot of different books that wouldn't get a lot of use because there would be so much divergence in how those mechanics would operate. Not everyone was just kind of filtering into them. The new philosophy in 5e is to take whatever ideas you have and boil them down so that they operate inside of what is already in the core mechanics, so that you're presenting new descriptive flavor narrative ideas, not necessarily new mechanical depth, which is more difficult to playtest, requires more brain power and time of R&D to develop as actual solid rules to use. It's not how Wizards is operating now in 5e. That's kind of how us couture designers operate. We have the freedom, flexibility, and not a lot of risk involved in exploring, experimenting, developing, implementing, and then publishing exotic couture ideas like this. So that's what I do. I take ideas for the 5e game engine and I change how I mod the engine to see so it'll work differently. And the color mana system was one example of that. So let's see. not to get too far ahead of myself, but to switch screens around. If you think these kind of conversations are cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notification of when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books that I've already created that are demonstrations of how you can modify the 5e game engine to change the feel of your game. Most notably is the color, mana, spell point, and variant rules system that is here on the DMsGuild already. These are all the rules that we've developed for use with the 5e game engine from 2014, but we're going to be updating all of this to the 2024 game engine, including the introduction of the martial power system, which is the Book of Nine Swords from 3rd edition, being updated to the 5e24 game engine mechanic. Using this, all 14 classes in the D&D game now use the same mana system as their core character ability power center. It also makes multi-classing much smoother because everyone is using mana. Different classes gain mana at different rates, different spell levels or power ranks of power differently, but they can all combine and integrate and work with each other inside of multi-classing, so that we can return to that 3rd edition idea of deck building your character, where you'd have 20 levels to pack in as much power or exploits or ways to modify the game for your character to succeed and survive in a dungeon danger environment, or to support your allies on a team. So implementing the mana system, we've been playtesting that on my Discord server on Saturday mornings. This is a read-only document, but you are welcome to take a look at this very rough draft of the initial core of the system, of how it operates in general. But we're going to be hiring an editor, potentially another writer, to make all this stuff word good for the 5e game engine. We'll send it off to the writers, the editor. When they send it back to us after we're finished playtesting it, I'll then be able to do the page layouts, and we'll do all the artwork for the book on live stream in the mornings. Monday through Friday in the morning, I do artwork. Mondays and Thursday nights and Tuesday and Friday afternoons, like right now, we do game design for upcoming books that are currently that modify how the 5e game engine works. So Strixhaven was one of the Ravnica settings. It was one of the Magic the Gathering settings, and it had a sport called Mage Tower in it, and the Curriculum of Chaos adventure that they published for Strixhaven made it a skill challenge. Every character that was on the team of Mage Tower, you would all make an ability check, and once everybody's rolled their ability check, you total how many the cumulative total of all those rolls versus the cumulative roll of the opposing team, and whichever cumulative die rolls result was highest would be who wins the match. So you can resolve a match of Strixhaven's Mage Tower in about a minute if you're actually playing Curriculum of Chaos. But there's an awesome opportunity here because so many people over the years have done PvP matches of, hey, let's build 20th level characters and have them, bash into each other like action figures until one of them is dead, and then you're the winner. It's a way to theory craft character concepts and to like play high level characters in one shots, but really it's just you doing like a battle or two in a 3-hour period of time, and then you're over. The Mage Tower game, we're converting it from that ability check into a combat system that you aren't killing each other, but instead you are attempting to score goals. So this is the 210 feet long, 125 foot wide field. This is the tower. This is another tower. Each of these steps is 5 feet. So this is a 15-foot tall tower. There's a goal post at the top of the tower. You each, the way that the game works, as presented in Strixhaven and the card set and in D&D's version of it, is you've got a mascot in a hamster ball that you can use as a volleyball. You could throw it, and if you hit the goal post, you score a point. So what we're doing is we're translating, instead of just making an ability check, we're actually creating the combat mechanics for you to attack the enemy's goalpost with the ranged weapon, which is the ball. Each team has their own ball that they use as a weapon to attack the goalpost, and then the goalie's job is to prevent the goal from taking any damage. If it gets hit, you can reduce the damage down to 0, so it doesn't count, or you could deflect the attack, or force the striker to re-roll. However it is that you want to prevent them from scoring the goal, that's how you're building your character. That's the deck building aspect to this to this D&D system of building your athletes so that they can prevent the enemy team from succeeding. We've built 2 sample athletes so far. We built a midfield defense controller, a wild magic sorcerer at level 7 that's part of the Silver Quill school, using white and black mana. You can see some of its abilities here. It's got cantrips, dissonant whispers, calm emotions. The cantrips it has is True Strike, Ray of Frost, Shocking Grasp, Mage Hand, Dancing Lights, and it has Thunder Wave, Dispel Magic, Fog Cloud, Mind Spike, Suggestion, Enlarge, and Hold Person as spell selections. And then it picked up. We just took its origin feat and its racial feat. Its 4th level feat is Warcaster. And it picked up the Power Initiate feats from Silver Quill and from being human. And with those feats, we got bonus attack, and we got quick help, which allows us to ready an action as a bonus action. So, and then we also built last night, we built a 7th level Echo Knight fighter, working with in the Quandrix school, which is a midfield striker and goalie. Because the Echo Knight is so mobile, if you camp the middle, if you're basically camping half court, your Echo has enough distance to be able to both defend the goalie from attack and also attack the goal yourself. So it's a really fun mobile teleporter type build. I mean, if you know the Echo Knight, you already know. But the abilities that we have that fold into it makes it just that much more efficient as an option. So we're looking at for the Echo Knight playing human again with Quandrix. The abilities we get, we picked up a Disarming Strike to knock balls out of people's hands, Goad to taunt people so that they're disadvantaged to attack the goal instead of you, Extended Reach so that you have more ability to knock down with Disarming Strikes, Anticipate so if your target attempts to make a goal, you can do things like intercept and redirect as responses. We've got Step, which allows us to take a step without opportunity when we make an attack. Saving Grace lets us use a reaction to re-roll d20 tests. Empowers Synergy, that when we use a maneuver as an action or a bonus action, we can gain an extra attack on top of it. Let's see. Deflection is forcing people to re-roll when they make an attack roll. Coordinated Attack allows me to issue as a bonus action for my ally to use their reaction to attack, or with Coordinated Dash, their reaction to move. Rush gives us a bonus on our attack roll after we move at least 10 feet. Shunt allows us to push people like a psionic power. A Precise Attack ramps our ability to increase our attack roll. Vanish turns us as invisible until we use another power, cast a spell, or make an attack roll. And then Feint allows us to re-roll the attack roll. So a decent set of stats here that are both defensive in nature for our goal and focus on re-rolling and maximizing our attack rolls when we have the ball and we're making an attack on the enemy goal. So we're going to dive in, and we're going to make another character. So I'm just going to grab this block here, and we're just going to use this as a general template. There, and we're going to. My gut's telling me barbarian. So we're just going to make I mean, you could make any race that you want, but we're just sticking with human because it's easy. I don't know specifically what type of barbarian we're going to make, but I want it to be a frontline. I want to make a forward striker. So I'm hoping that we're going to have something that folds in that makes a lot of sense as a forward striker. I'm fine with this stat line as it is. That can just sit. That's fine. Racial abilities, that's totally cool. The background, we're going to go with Prismari. Prismari is blue and red magic. We're going to stick with the dex and strength +1. We're going to stick with the meta power. If you want to read along with what we're doing here, just FYI, the Mage Tower playtest document is here. And the martial power system that we've been developing, that is here. So you can click that there. These are both read-only documents. You can't actually I mean, you can look at it, but you can't own it. You can't like copy paste it. This isn't the final product. It's just a play test that we're using to see if this stuff works and to use as something as a reference point for us while we're doing designing on stream here. Once the book is published on the DMsGuild, we're going to destroy this document, because just like everything else that I have linked down below, all my books are 100% free preview on the DMsGuild. And then if you decide that you like it, then you buy it. So you can read it first and then buy it later. So that's how we like to operate around here. So check that stuff out at your leisure if you want. I'm just going to scoot this down here to get it out of the way. We're going to grab the Mage Tower stuff here so we can start building a character. We got martial powers. Strixhaven, martial powers here. Actually, let's pop open our martial document. We got spells and stuff in here that we might, and feats that we might have to take a look at. So let's just keep that stuff in mind. Marshals. Go to here, get rid of that. There we go. That's gonna work. All right, so looking at the barbarians. So here's how the martial power system works. Barbarians, fighters, monks, rogues. They all get a half casting progression like the ranger, paladin, and artificer do. But instead of preparing spells, we... Hold on. Instead of preparing spells, we prepare powers, martial powers. With the color mana system that we developed, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So a first level spell or rank power costs 1 mana. Fifth level spell or the fifth rank power costs 5 mana. It's just a 1-to-1 scaling ratio. So you gain, this is on a short rest mana recovery, just like a monk or like the spell point Warlock class. You gain 1 per level and you get your mana back on a short rest. The power die acts as a martial arts die, inspiration die, superiority die. That a lot of the powers that you're going to channel allow you to modify your d20 tests or your damage output. You can spend whatever your max rank is the rank of powers that you can prepare, but it also indicates the maximum amount of mana that you can spend at a time on any given power. So at 7th level characters, we have access to 2nd rank powers. Our power die is a d6. So like if I were to use like disarming strike, I would add 2d6 to the damage of the roll, but my disarm saving throw would take the best result of those 2d6s that I rolled and add that to my general channeling DC. So we stay inside the curve of bounded accuracy on d20 tests, but we can continue to ramp the actual damage that we deal like smite spells. So that's been working incredibly well so far. 7th level, we get 10 powers that we can prepare. We got our D6 power die. We get a total of 7 mana, 2nd rank powers, and we've rebuilt all of the classes and all of the subclasses for use in 2025 using the color mana system. Here's the entire martial power system, all the mechanics of how it works, just like spellcasting, like how you use it, targeting, distancing, opportunity attacks. All those things are all listed out here, just like spellcasting chapter is, where we have the channeling powers chapter of the book. And then we have the list of all the powers that you can have. There's 5 disciplines: exploits, modify, action economy, and die rolls. Maneuvers are like spell-like abilities that you can channel as a magic action or as a bonus action. Often both. Sometimes in the same round, so it has high action economy. Like you can do a lot, but it's expensive. Reactions are just like they sound. A triggering condition happens, you spend the mana, and then you can do the thing that you have prepared. Strikes are like paladin smites. When you hit something, you spend mana to do the effect. Paladins can use their bonus action to deal additional damage, but anyone that's using the system, when they hit, they can expend mana to use a strike power. And then sustained powers are like concentration, self-buff effects, but they don't require concentration. But you can only do so many of them. Like you have a limited ability to utilize them. So it's a way to basically buff and customize your character, to give them like magical feat effects, essentially. And then you have meta powers. And the meta powers are like weapon masteries. You can prepare weapon masteries as combat masteries. You can prepare feats. You don't gain a stat bonus when you do, but we also don't have the same sort of restrictions or like prerequisites that you would have. So if you don't want to mess around with using mana, you can instead use your prepared powers to instead learn additional weapon masteries and feats so that you can save your ability score increases at level 4, 6, 10, etc. You can actually use those to increase your stats because you can prepare these feats. Then there's also damage types. You can basically, at first level, you can prepare elemental and basic damage types. And then once you get to 5th level or higher as a channeler, you can utilize, like, instead of dealing slashing damage, I can just do force damage, or I can prepare necrotic damage. And then there's effects that character classes have that, like, when you deal necrotic damage, you can XYZ. And since you're you can prepare necrotic damage. If you have that sort of effect, your character can be triggering those effects on any weapon, not just specifically something that's necrotic, because you could always designate, like, I could punch you and deal necrotic damage if I have dealing necrotic damage as a power that I've prepared on my character. So it's kind of like this step between spell casting and superpowers. It's the martial power system from 3rd edition translated into 5th edition, but instead of using the martial points that they had in the 3E system, we're just converting it to the mana system that we've developed for the color mana spell point variant rules on the DMsGuild. So we're going to use these to build a barbarian. So we're a 7th level barbarian. Again, you can see here that we don't have weapon masteries listed here. We don't have fighting styles listed in here because you can prepare fighting styles and you can prepare weapon masteries as powers instead of preparing powers or spells. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. The max rank at 7th level that we can channel is 2nd rank, which means we have a 2 mana cap, and we can prepare any powers up to 2nd rank. The power die that we're going to use is a D6. Again, every time you spend a point of mana, that uses a power die. You roll a number of power dice equal to the amount of mana that you spend. If you're dealing damage, you add up all the dice and add it to your attack roll, or you add it to your damage roll. If you're using your power to modify your D20 test, you take the best die result and add it to your D20 test, not all of the dice, because that breaks the bounded accuracy curve. This also does not stack with Bardic Inspiration. So if I have a point of Bardic Inspiration, I could spend that, or I could use my power die, depending on what's better for me in the moment. And then we have our mana, 7 mana, which comes back on a short rest. And then we have the channeling class feature. We have Empowered Rage that uses mana with our rage. We have Unarmed Defense, which you're familiar with, Danger Sense, Reckless Attack, Barbarian subclass, Primal Skill, Feat, Extra Attack, Fast Movement, subclass feature at 6, Feral Instincts, and then Instinctive Pounce. So those are the abilities that we have that have been modified by the mana system that we've used. Most of these abilities have been modified. So we'll go through those as we go through them. And we also have the list of, we're going with Prismari, so we'll figure out what Prismari abilities that we want. Let's take a second here and decide what our subclass. Well, actually, let's just get through building out the barbarian for 7th level, and then we'll add in the subclass, and then we'll add in the background of Prismari and the subclass, and then we'll prepare our powers. And we're optimizing this specifically to be a Mage Tower athlete, not a general adventurer. So some of our choices are going to be suboptimal if we were dungeon delving or hex crawling. These are characters that are focused and specialized as an athlete in playing games of Mage Tower. So that's how we're presenting. Excuse me for a second while I take a drink. So let's just start building out our barbarian. So we're going to go with a forward striker. I like the stat array. I think that's fine. Human race is fine. We're going to go with, let's swap some of this stuff out. Barbarian abilities. We're going to go with Prismari background. The bonuses are fine. The skills are going to change. We're going to change our proficiencies. Our credits will change what abilities that we get. Channeling second rank up to 2 mana, 10 powers, 15 strength, DC 15 is our strength, 7 mana, blue and red. All of these will change. Subclass is going to change. I have no idea what subclass we're going to take. But we are going to keep the feats the same, Power Initiate and the stat bonus at 4th level. But I don't necessarily know what our bonus powers are going to be. Thank you for keeping my shit updated. Get out of here. Prismari. I'm not sure what our bonus powers are going to be. I'm just clearing out the mess because we're going to replace all this stuff. And then our list of prepared powers is going to change based on, because we're going to build a forward striker. So I suspect I think we're going to use World Tree. That's maybe Frenzied Berserker. I'm not sure which. We'll figure it out. But for now, let's just build out our Barbarian. So we've got our backgrounds, Barbarian features. Let's go with, we get the Channeling class feature. And then we have Empowered Rage. So let's take a look at Empowered Rage. You can enter a rage as a bonus action if you aren't wearing heavy armor. A number of times shown on your Barbarian level in the Rages column in the Ranger's feat table. You regain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You can expend 1 use of Rage to regain 1 point of mana, and you can expend any amount of mana to regain an equal number of spent Rages. While active, your Rage follows the rules below. Damage resistance, advantage on strength, saving throws, and ability checks. Rage bonus to damage. Channeling while raging, add your rage bonus to your channeling DC. So 7th level, our rage bonus is +2. So DC is 15, 17, strength / rage. Strength advantage, rage bonus, no concentration on spells, primal power. While raging, you can expend barbarian hit dice instead of mana to channel powers. When you do, an equal number of power dice are replaced with d12s. So if I at 7th level I have 7 hit dice. If I decide to spend those hit dice, I can use them instead of rolling a d6. I can expend my hit die as a power die, and I can use that die as a point of mana. It can be any color because I'm just expending it on the fly, red or blue in the case of Prismari here. So when I spend a hit die, instead of rolling a d6, I'll roll a d12. So that's a huge advantage that the Barbarian has, but you can only do that while you're raging. So Empowered Rage equals expend HD as mana to with power die equals 1d12. That's a huge bonus. That's a huge advantage that the Barbarian gets over other classes. But each of the martial classes has their own way to trick, cheat, and make themselves a unique action loop, or use like the fighter, for instance, has second wind. Instead of gaining hit points, I can get mana back with second wind, for instance. So I get a lot of mana that way. Similarly, the Barbarian can get a lot of mana through hit dice. And now that you get all your hit dice back when you finish a long rest, it's essentially doubling the amount of mana that a Barbarian would have in their initial go. Like if I'm willing to spend all my hit dice on mana, I've got 14 mana before I take a short rest. Then I take my short rest and I get 7 mana back at 7th level. So that means I get basically 21 mana per long rest as a Barbarian at 7th level. And that's about equal to the amount of mana that a full caster gets on a long rest there you go. So fun balance there. Let's see. Okay, 1,000 powered rage. And what else do we get? Danger sense. I don't think there's any other effects that went along with it. Rage effects, no concentration, primal power. Duration. During combat, rage lasts until the end of your next turn, and you extend it until the end of the following turn by doing one of the following. Make an attack roll. Force an enemy to make a saving throw, which I could do like with Topple or any of the powers that we have. Take a bonus action to extend the rage. I could channel a maneuver or a sustained power, both of which can be done with a magic action or as a bonus action. And then out of combat, I can sustain rage as a first rank power. So I could expend a point of mana and then tap that mana and then basically turn on and leave rage on perpetually until I'm incapacitated. Your rage ends if you choose to, no action required, when you don heavy armor or have the incapacitated condition. Unarmored defense. Equals AC, it's Dex plus Con plus 10. Dex Con 14, so Dex equals 14. Danger sense. Advantage on dexterity saving throws. ADV. Dex saves unless incapacitated. Reckless attack. Equals gain advantage on all attacks till next round, but all are ADV to hit me. Doing so gives you advantage on attack rolls using strength until the start of your next turn, but attack rolls against you have advantage during that time. Barbarian subclass. Barbarian subclass 3 and 6. Primal skill. Do I have that listed? Yeah. Your proficiency in addition, skill of your choice from Barbarian skill list. In addition, while the rage is active, you can make ability checks using one of the following skills. You have channeling ability score. While your rage is active, when you make an ability check using one of the, you can use your channeling ability score instead. Your channeling ability score could be either strength, con, or charisma, your choice. So primal skill equals while raging, use channeling ability instead of normal ability check rolls. Level 4 feet, level 4 feet, ASI, and it's going to be an ability score increase. Level 5, extra attack, and then Feral Instinct equals, as a bonus action, when you enter rage, you can move up to half your speed. When entering rage as bonus action, can move 1/2 my speed. Cool, and now that's where it cuts off. Brutal powers come in at 8, which replaces brutal strikes, which basically gives you free mana when you use reckless attack. So let's now kick down to. Let's look at the path of Berserker to see if it gives us something that we think is going to be useful for a striker. Fast is useful. Retaliate's a good defense ability. Double strike isn't very useful because we can only throw the ball once and then we have to go get it again. So double strike isn't very useful there. Overrun can knock people down, but isn't specifically very useful to us as a striker. When you hit with a reckless attack while your rage is active, you deal 1 extra power die of damage. This can be added to any mana spent to channel a strike. Mindless Rage, you are immune to the Charmed and Frightened condition. That can be useful because Charmed and Frightened are good ways to keep people away from attacking your goalpost. But that's all we get. So let's look at Wild Heart. Animal Speaker, who cares? Rage of the Wild. Bonus action, you can take both the dash and disengage act together. That's not too bad. Allies have advantages on attack rolls against enemies of yours within 5 feet. I'd have to be within 5 feet of the goal for that to be useful in Mage Tower. Dark Vision, Climb, Swim, not very useful. World Tree. Well, let's look at the powers that we get. Alert is a feat. Lycanthropy, not very useful. Fast is useful, makes us move faster. Savage Attacker isn't very useful, so that's not a very good list of abilities for us to use. Path of the World Tree, Rally gives us temporary hit points. It's not important because you don't kill each other. Topple knocks people prone. I'm pretty good with that. Shunt pushes people. Sentinel allows us to stop people moving when they're moving through our space, which is a good goalie ability. Activate Rage, you gain temporary hit points. Who cares? Rage is active. Start your turn. You can choose another creature within 10 feet of yourself to gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the amount that you have up to a barbarian level. Branch of the Wild Tree. While your Rage is active, when a creature starts its turn within 30 feet of you, you can use a reaction to target that creature to make a strength saving throw or be teleported to a location within 5 feet of you or the nearest unoccupied space. You can then choose to reduce its speed to 0 until the end of its turn. Wow, that's actually a really good defense ability. If your character is already in the on the enemy's half of the court, if I'm positioned, say here, and an enemy is moving past me towards my goal, I can hit him with Limbs of the World Tree to pull him back 30 feet from where he was, and then drop his speed to 0, out of range of the ball to be thrown. Hey, Hornetico, it's good to see you. So that's a good front line. That's like a forward defense ability. But I mean, there's very little here other than branches. There's not a lot going on. Oh, Rally is Shunt is useful. Topple is useful. Sentinel is useful. Those are all really good goalie abilities, or like defense abilities. We're trying to build a striker. So, but I'm thinking it might not need to be that much for a striker. Adaptive Resistance is okay. Rally is fine. Life-Stealing Strike isn't very useful. Saving Grace can be useful. Necrotic or Radiant damage doesn't really matter. As a bonus action, when you expend a number of Barbarian hit dice up to your max rank of power gained as a Barbarian to heal a number of hit points equal to the result plus your channeling ability modifier. That's not very useful in Mage Tower. While your Rage is active, when you fail a saving throw, you can expend a point of mana to add the result of one power die to the roll, potentially changing the failure to a success. Yeah, okay. Deadly Presence deals damage to people. That's not very useful. Hey, Timely Timer. I'm just flipping through the different subclasses to see if there's any that are particularly tasty. While you're raging, the first creature you hit with an attack on your turn becomes the target of your ancestral warriors, which hinder its attacks until the start of your next turn. The target has disadvantage on any attack rolls. And when it hits a creature other than you with an attack, that creature has the resistance to the damage dealt by that attack. The effect on the target ends early if your rage ends. Battle Rager is armor stuff. Restraining Hold, Grappling Strike, not so much. Path of the Giant. Elemental Cleaver. Path of the Giant would be a decent goalie. Storm Herald. Flaming Strike, Freezing Strike. Freezing Strike's not bad. It slows people down. Desert Effect activated. Choose the type of damage. Aura, 2 power dice of fire damage. See, one creature you see in aura takes lightning damage. Temporary hit points. That's not very useful. Storm Soul, gain resistance. Not useful. Resistance, not useful. Resistance, not useful. Not useful. Hey, what's up? I'm currently writing more for my setting book. Nice. Trying to get it to the mechanics testing phase sometimes the next week. Good luck, man. Excellent. Well done. This is Mutants and Mastermind, right? Savage Attacker, Instant Skill, Adaptive Resistance, Power Shield, Magic Awareness. You know the location of any spell, that doesn't really matter. Wild Surge, when you enter your rage, You roll a d6, and it eventually becomes a d12. Magic infuses your weapon. Flowers and bunnies match 15 feet equals difficult terrain. Yeah, we're just going to go with World Tree. I don't think I need to really pontificate it too far. There's not a lot going on in Barbarian kits that are particularly useful to us for Mage Tower specifically, so I'm not going to fret the details. I think World Tree stands out as the most prominent. World Tree Barbarian. Uh, 3 and 6. World Tree. I also, yeah, good. I also have another one I'm working that isn't Mutant Masterminds, but the Mutant Masterminds book is the main priority. Yeah, right on, man. Nice. Good luck. World Tree. All right, so that's our basics. Let's go down to Prismari and pick up our background features. That's really far down in the playtest document. There's the Scion. Theros Piety. Here we go. Prismari. Acrobatics and Performance. Acrobatics. Performance. And proficient with one musical item of my choice. Let's go with tambourine. Of course. And we get 21 college credits because we're 7th level. And so for spells, here's our list. But since we're a barbarian, we're channeling powers. We get Overrun. Rogue Stance is super fucking useful. Overrun, which is Exploit 1. Basically allows us to deal damage by passing through targets when we move. Rogue's Stance is a first rank sustain power, which basically gives us cunning actions as like the Rogue's cunning actions. Abundant Step is super useful. Lets us fly until the end of our turn as an exploit. And then Moving Target. Also super useful. As a reaction, if somebody attempts to move through our melee reach, we can do an opportunity attack against them. So we can... A lot of defense abilities. It's actually... It's striking is pretty easy. You just have to be able to make a throw and attack roll. It's all the defense abilities that it seems that we're able to stack onto characters. I hadn't thought about that, but I also don't have a problem with it. I'm totally cool with that. Subclass equals World Tree. So let's hook ourselves up with our World Tree abilities. Rally. No, wait. Actual features are Vitality of the Tree. Which is when I rage, gain temporary hit points equals barbarian level, and start of each turn that I'm raging, give one ally within 10 feet THP up to my barb level. Not sure why I can't duplicate this effect here. Hold on. There it is. Thank you. Branches of the tree. Which is while raging. Any creature that starts within 30 feet of me. Any one creature within 30 feet makes STR save or is teleported to within 5 feet of me and speed equals 0 until their next turn. And I can choose to reduce speed equals 0 until their next turn. Make a saving throw. While my race is active, when a creature starts its turn, any one creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of me I can use my reaction to force it to make a strength save. There we go. And allies can choose to fail saving throw, so I could use that to teleport a target closer to the goal if they have the ball. If an enemy is within 30 feet of me at the start of the turn and they have the ball, I can teleport them back to me to slow them from getting to my goalpost to score a goal. Is that all I get? Yeah, that's all I get. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and start stacking up our freebies. Overrun. We already have that, so let's just paste in place, shan't we? Just consolidating all this stuff here. And then we get our bonus powers from World Tree, which is Alert. Wait. Rally, which is a maneuver 1. That gives you temporary hit points, but we don't really lose temporary hit points. Topple Mastery trips people, which is super useful when you're trying to slow people down. Shunt pushes them in a direction as a maneuver, which is also super useful. For 2 mana, I can push somebody in any direction 20 feet. And then Sentinel. As a feat, I can stop your movement when you're crossing within the reach of my weapon. That's also incredibly useful. It's kind of redundant with moving target. Oh well. Yeah, it is a little redundant. That's okay. And then we have 10 prepared powers. So what do I want to take? I think Martial Strike. That just deals a lot of damage, which comes in handy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we get the 2 bonus ones. So I'm going to go over here. Let's just take Martial Power to get out of the way. STR1. Sorry, Martial Strike. STR. Let's go back up to the actual list of powers and start hunting for good stuff. Rogue Stance is freaking fantastic to have because that lets us use our bonus action to move. Super useful. Slow, Step, Topple, Vex, Nick, Graze, Grapple, Disarm, Cleave, Addle. We already have Topple. Push is useful. Any feats in here that we want to grab? Defense, dueling, efficient power, greater weapon fighting, interception, protection, thrown weapon fighting. What does thrown weapon fighting do? Because the when you throw the ball at the goal, it's a thrown weapon. When you hit with a ranged attack roll using a weapon that has the thrown property, +2 to damage. Actually, that's useful. Thrown weapon fighting. Because when you hit the goal, you have to deal damage to it. Like a monk goalie could reduce the damage dealt to the goal to 0, and if they reduce the damage to 0, you don't score a point. You actually have to deal damage to the goal to count as an actual hit. Kind of like ringing the bell. Like if you don't deal any damage, you don't actually ring the bell. It like dings off of it, but it doesn't actually ring. Ding, no ring. So thrown weapon fighting helps give you just a little pinch extra damage to make sure that goal sticks. I'm going to take that up to here under the Power Initiate feat that we took. Push is decent. Let's look up Interception. When a creature you can see hits another creature within 5 feet of you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to reduce the damage dealt to the target by 10 plus your proficiency bonus. You must be holding a shield on a simple or martial weapon to use this reaction. Okay. No, actually that's pretty good. If we were a goalie, it would be pretty good, but we're not actually acting as a goalie. So what does the protection feat do? But it is useful. When a creature you can see attacks a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you, you can take a reaction to interpose your shield if you're holding one. You impose disadvantage on the triggering attack roll and all other attack rolls against the target until the start of your next turn, if you remain within 5 feet of the target. Those are both very goalie-oriented abilities, not striker abilities. I definitely want Disarming Strike. SCR1, because that knocks the ball out of their hand. Super useful. I'm not gonna necessarily. I'm not interested necessarily in defense stuff, but it doesn't hurt if I have to defend. Interception, feat, and protection feat. They're not horrible, and I have a lot of powers available, so unless I can find something better, I may as well use them. Let's see what we got. Addle, target can't make opportunity attacks. That's useful. Addle as a mastery, because if I can disable your ability to addle to opportunity attack me, that's going to free up my ability to close distance on your goal. I can see that being valuable. Just disarm in general. Graze. If you miss an attack, deal your attack ability modifier and weapon. That's not useful because I actually have to hit and deal damage to score a goal. So that doesn't really matter. And you don't really hurt each other in combat. The damage is we note damage for the sake of disrupting casters' concentration. It's pretty much the only use for damage, but we don't actually hurt each other during the match. I'll take slow as a mastery because it does reduce your speed by 10. for it. Beep. There we go. Let's see. So let's look at our sustained powers. We already have Rogue Stance active, so we're definitely going to have Rogue Stance on all the time. Rogue Stance, while this power is sustained, you can use your bonus action to dash, dodge, or disengage. The dodge is a significant upgrade over hide, but I still like it because it eats your bonus action. So much we can do with our bonus action in the system. That's actually a good expenditure. But that leaves an open space for me. Ranged Assault. While sustaining this power, I gain the following abilities. I can use a strike power. Can create temporary non-magical ammunition. Nah. We don't need that. Fast. While sustaining this power, your walking speed increases by your max power rank multiplied by 10. So it'd be an extra 20 feet. On top of the fast move that we already get for the Barbarian. That's not bad. Hold on. Do we have fast movement? Huh. Let's go to, because I think there's supposed to be a fast movement table, right? Did they remove that? Am I crazy? Short rest, rage, strength, duration, unarmored defense, weapon mastery, danger sense. Oh, wow, they got rid of the fast movement. Fast movement comes at 5. Thank you. Your speed increases by 10 feet. Yeah, fast movement. Fast movement, there it is. And for, oh, I missed these things. Durr. Fast movement equals plus 10 move. Thank you, timely timer. What else did I miss? Extra attack. Oh, that's instinctive pounce. I have advantage on initiative rolls. ADV on initiative. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Speed's actually not a bad point. Speed's a pretty good one. Let's go back up here. Yeah, fast. While sustaining this power, your walking speed increases by your max rank. So it costs 1 mana for us to sustain it. At 7th level, we have second rank power, like a half caster. We can cast second level spells. We have 2 ranks of power, which means we can sustain 2 mana worth of sustained powers. Rogue Stance is 1 mana. Fast is 1 mana. But like things like 2 mana, like Giant Growth costs 2 mana to be size large. It's 4 mana to be size huge. Tremor Sense for 2 mana. Celerity is basically haste without the hangover for 3 mana. So these things get useful at higher levels, but at low level where we're at right now at level 7, we want Rogue Stance to be on because the dash action and disengage as a bonus action is super useful. Super useful when doing maneuvering and trying to move across the arena. That's probably the best, but there's also Crouching Stance, which is when you sustain this power, you gain, you can crawl and stand from prone without requiring additional movement if your move isn't reduced to 0. Attack rolls made against you while you're prone don't have advantage. Attack rolls that you make are not at disadvantage. And you gain advantage on dexterity stealth checks while you're prone. Without requiring additional movement, you can crawl and stand without additional movement, so I don't have to get up and still be able to move across the battlefield quickly. That's not so bad because people won't have advantage against me, but I don't think that's going to be super useful here. That's really useful if you're doing like stealthy stuff. But we don't really need to worry about being too stealthy while we're playing Mage Tower. So I think I'm going to skip that, but I think we will take fast. Sus 1 equals increase speed 20 feet. And second rank is the highest we can do right now. Restraining Strike's not horrible. Your damage increases by 1 die per mana expended, and the creature is restrained. The creature can end the effect by succeeding a strength or dexterity saving throw against your channeling DC, which is 17 while I'm raging. Size large or larger creatures roll with advantage. Restraining Strike is actually pretty useful. Restraining Strike. To target enemies, although we don't really worry about how much damage we're dealing because we're not trying to kill each other, but being able to prevent them from moving until they succeed a saving throw just by whapping them, that actually is pretty useful. Psychic Dazing Strike is con save, or if it fails, it loses reactions and can do only 2 of the following: either move, take an action, or a bonus action. Dazing Strike's actually really, really good. I'm going to take that. Dazing Strike. SCR1. That's technically all the powers that we can learn, but now we're looking at, like, is there something that we want to replace? Like, we have Disarming Strike, and we have Disarm as a Mastery. Disarm as a Mastery is just a flat DC 17 while raging, but if I'm using Disarming Strike and I expend mana, I can roll a D6 and add that to the DC, but it's going to cost me mana to use it, as opposed to the Disarm Mastery doesn't cost any. Addle removes opportunity attacks, while Dazing Strike removes reactions altogether. So Dazing Strike is better than Disarm, or Addle, but Addle doesn't cost any mana to use it, so it's efficient. Topple is a mastery that trips you. There's also Tripping Strike, which automatically trips you instead of giving you a saving throw, but again, you have to spend mana to use it, so it's the Topple is cheap, but they could resist it. Push. Shunt automatically pushes a target. Shunt will push a target up to 20 feet at 7th level if they fail their save, while push will, I believe, automatically push them 10 feet. So there's pros and cons there as well. I think Disarming Strike is probably the most useful strike in Mage Tower, because if I hit my target, I can knock the ball out of their hand, and with 2 mana, I can toss the ball up to 20 feet away. And the DC's my 17 plus D6. It's really hard to resist that. Got a lot of reactions built in already. As a reaction to when a creature within reach of your melee weapon that you can see hits you or another creature with an attack, you can redirect the attack from hitting the intended target to instead target another creature that you can see within reach of both you and the melee weapon. Melee attacks using the same attack roll. If there is no other target within reach, the attack misses. There we go. So redirect actually is a really good one. But like, what would we do? Like redirect, a reaction 2. Those are all really good. Let's just see if there's something that's more interesting. Retaliate. As a reaction to taking damage, you can attack somebody. That's not really useful in Mage Tower because you don't worry about being dead. You just worry about people hitting your goal. Feint. No. Interpose. No, no, no. No. That's a decent build. Where am I at on my time? I'm at 1 hour now. Okay, so technically my lunch break is over, so I'm gonna have to get back to work. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me, guys. But yeah, that's a very simple barbarian build. World Tree. We chose World Tree specifically for branches of the tree. While raging any one creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of me, I can use my reaction to teleport them to within 5 feet of me. If they don't want to, they make a strength save. Otherwise, they can come along for free. If I don't like them, I can reduce their speed to 0 so they can't close distance on my goal. Otherwise, if it's an ally that I've teleported, they can now use the rest of their movement to travel on from where they're at. That's the primary reason why I took World Tree over anything else. While I have Fast active as a sustained power, I get an extra 30 feet of movement from the Barbarian's fast movement plus the 20 feet boost that we get from Fast, and I get the Rogue Stance on top of it so I can dash as a bonus action. So I can easily close distance. When we start a match, we have to start on our tower, and someone chooses to hold the ball, but you start on your tower and the enemy starts on their tower. And so, like, if I'm here at the edge of my tower, it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. It's 75 feet for me to get within range to throw the ball. The thrown weapon, which is the ball. We're trying to throw the ball to hit the goalpost at the top of the pyramid. It's 5-foot steps, and it's difficult terrain. So 10 feet, 20 feet to get within 5 feet of the goal, but it's a ranged attack that I'm making. And the range of the weapon that we have listed in the instructions up here, normal range for the ball is 20 feet, and then long range is 40 feet. And it's such a short range to force movement and interaction inside that space. When you throw the ball, it will move the full 40 feet regardless of how far away from the goal or your target you are. When you throw the ball, it moves in that direction 40 feet. If you hit the goalpost, you scored a point, and then we reset. Everyone goes back to their tower and we start again. Roll initiative. Bob's your uncle. So if I'm like right here on the tower and I throw at the goal and I miss, it'll go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. The ball will land over here on the far side of the pyramid. So I can throw it, and now it's not in my hands anymore. It'll land over here. And if I don't have enough movement to go fetch the ball, if I have enough movement to go fetch the ball and I have another attack open, I can then throw the ball again at the goal and maybe hit the goalpost. If I don't, and it becomes my enemy's initiative, there might be a goalie near enough to be able to go down, pick up the ball, and now they control my ball. The enemy has to let go of my ball at the end of their turn. And when they let go of the ball gets a legendary action to run in any direction that it wants. It can move 20 feet in a random direction. Like, it always does that when somebody lets go of it at the end of the round. At the end of anyone's turn, if a ball is not held, it will randomly move 20 feet in any direction. You could control its movement by using suggestion or a fear effect. The ball is a mascot. It's a ball. It's a creature inside of a tiny sized Odalix resilient sphere. So it's basically like a force power hamster ball that it's rolling around inside of with 0 momentum. So you can throw it and won't get hurt. But when it hits the ground, it'll just run in a random direction. If I have a fear effect on me and I drop it, it will run 20 feet directly away from me. If I have sympathy active on myself and I'm targeting the enemy's ball, if they throw and drop the ball will automatically move 20 feet in my direction. So sometimes you just have to run around and chase the ball down, pick it up, and then of course you want to throw it at the goal to hit it. If it's the enemy ball that I pick up, I want to get it as far away from my goal as I can, or as far away from the opposing team members as I can, so they have to waste their action economy fetching their ball. if I don't have control of my ball and I'm a defender and their ball is near me, like I could use a disarming strike to knock the ball out of their hand and then pick up the ball and then throw it at the other side of the field up to 40 feet away. And then my turn ends. Now the ball's going to run in a random direction. It could either go closer to them. It could also go further away from them, another 20 feet. So the enemy team might have to scamper after it for an entire round just to be able to pick it up. And now I've burned all my action economy chasing the ball down. But if it's my ball, I can keep hold of it. I don't have to let it go. But if it's the enemy ball, I have to let go of it at the end of the round. Yeah, so I think the kit that we have built out here for our World Tree Barbarian, I think that's really... I could technically target the ball because my enemy... The ball is a creature. The opposing team's ball is considered an enemy, so it'd get a saving throw. And if it's my ally, it would automatically agree and teleport to me unless there was some sort of suggestion effect on it that says hate your own team or whatever. Then it would try to resist your saves. But World Tree could be able to snatch a ball to me very easily if it's within 30 feet. I can just pull it to me. Very easy to do because it has that legendary action that it can take. Whenever it does that, I can just use my reaction. If I have one available, I can just pull the ball to me anytime it's within 30 feet of me. So that's super useful. So that's mainly why I decided to take World Tree, because it's so versatile for use with Mage Tower like this. And since you're not actually damaging each other, the only reason you deal damage to each other is to disrupt concentration. So there's 3 periods. Every time you finish a period, it's considered a short rest. It's a long rest at the end of the game. So the mana that you come in, like a full caster, the mana that you come in, that's all the mana you have for the whole game. The martial characters, they get to take their short rest, so a period ends. And the way that we have it structured currently, we're going to test this for a while. The way that it's currently structured, whoever scores 3 points first wins a period. And then whoever wins 2 periods first wins the game. So it's whoever scores 6 points first wins. 3 in the first period, and then 3 in the second period, and then you sweep. You don't worry about the third period. So the goal is, can we get a match to end in 3 rounds by one or the other team scoring 3 points, 1 each round? Is it possible to move the game that quickly? That would mean that a full match, if we can do that, whether you win or lose, we could have an entire match of Mage Tower as a combat sport, as a combat in 5e. We could resolve it in 6 rounds among the players, which means that we would probably be able to resolve a match. An efficient match, we'd probably be able to finish like in a half hour or maybe 40 minutes. That's pretty quick for a match. So if you have like a 3-hour session and you're getting through a match every 40 minutes, maybe an hour if it's drawn out and there's a lot of tactics that are going on or a lot of shutdowns, then in a 3-hour session, you'd still be able to potentially win like best 2 out of 3 matches. So you can have a phase where you're building your characters, kitting out what their prepared powers are, and then you bring them to the field and you test them to see who wins. And then you can swap their abilities for the next game, come back, try a different strategy. There you go. So it's best 2 out of 3 periods. It's whoever gets the 3 points first in this period ends the period. And then it's best 2 out of 3 periods. So if I win this period, you win the next period, then we'll have a third period, and the score will end up being like 3-6. So that's generally how. But you could score 2 points, and then I get my third point and I win. So it'd be like 5-6, a close game. So that's the general idea. But the intent is to use D&D 5e combat not to kill each other, but to use the action economy of the combat pillar to depict maneuvering around the arena with the ball as a thrown weapon that you're taking shots to attack each other's goal. And then whenever you score a point, then everyone goes back to their tower and they stand their ground on the tower, and then whoever we do initiative order, whoever has initiative first starts to roll out. So there you go. That's the idea. That's the idea of it. So I'm looking for. I've built 3 characters so far, just some experimental stuff. My playtesting team that's testing this martial power system. We're running a mega dungeon on my Discord channel. The link's down below if you want to join. You're most welcome to do so. But we can have up to 5 players. If we don't have it, it's 3 to 5 players. If we don't have 3 players, we've had to cancel because there's not enough bodies on the battle, not enough bodies in the dungeon to be able to run it well. But now that we have these Mage Tower rules in place, if we end up only having 2 people show up, we could decide to play Mage Tower instead. As a DM, I could just take on the role of 2 of these characters. The players that show up, they could build athletes, and then we could just run some Mage Tower matches. You could integrate this into your Strixhaven campaign, because there's not a lot of combat in the Strixhaven campaign, but you could have combat scenarios by, like, at the end of each week, you can have an ongoing competition, and like maybe you gain experience points, or you gain treasure like a reward, or maybe you gain bonus credits or something, or extra resources of somehow by winning matches. You could build that out, and we'll probably touch on those ideas later on as we build this out. But right now we're just playtesting the mechanics of it. Once our mega dungeon gets to level 10, that's when we're going to be looking to end it. And we're looking at extending the playtesting for martial powers by building characters from level 11 to 20, playing Mage Tower as a way of testing the abilities that we're using. So we'll see if that goes well. We'll be messing around. We'll also be doing some Spelljammer stuff in 2026, in Q1 2026. But that's it for now. That's our stream. So if you think this stuff is cool, check it out. All the links to stuff is down below. Once it publishes, it'll be on the DMsGuild. Check out my books down below that are on the DMsGuild. They all have free previews, extensive free previews, and the martial power system that we're going to rebuild that for 2024. The Spelljammer book still works for 2024. Theurgy still works for 2024. We're going to rebuild Spell Point Sorcerers. We're also going to rebuild Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica to utilize the 2024 abilities that the Warlock has acquired. It's all a process. We're going to go through all that stuff. So that's it for now. I'm going to be back Monday morning to continue the Eberron art that we've been working on. We'll be doing playtesting on my Discord channel this Saturday. And then Monday night, we'll be back on doing more game design. I honestly don't know what we're going to be working on Monday night, but we'll be working on something. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, stick around, ask questions. I'd love to hear from you. And thanks a lot, guys. See you later.